Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. My name is William Seward. I am one of the data science peer advisors for fall 2020. We are doing our data science enrollment advising session virtually this semester as school is virtual. And yeah, welcome. You can go to the next slide. So, I mean, the disclaimer, we have this semester's super weird because it's virtual. And it's gonna be the same thing for the spring. So what we're saying now is kind of just what we expect the spring semester to be. We're planning on it being completely virtual, but it shouldn't change anything from the classes like too much, except for the ability for like, you can still late drop like right before finals week. I know that's an option for this semester. But other than that, there's not so much that's totally changed. And these are also just all of our like own opinions, information that we've put together on how to tackle the major or the minor, along with other possibilities of doing double majors or doing another major with the data science minor. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. So the agenda today is to introduce all of ourselves. Then we're going to go through the minor requirements, the major requirements, and the core upper div requirements plus comparisons. Then sample plans for 2-year or for like freshmen or for people that want to start the junior year, like transfers or people that are just interested in see if they can do the major in 2 years. And then available courses in spring 2021. And yeah, and then just enrollment information. We don't have opportunity for Q&A at the end, but that's just something you can go to the Data 001 Piazza page, which is the data like division of data science like general question page, and you can ask questions there.
Okay, so a little bit about who we are. Who are we? We're the data science peer advisors. So basically, we're a group of people that kind of provide course recommendations and information about any opportunities and resources based on our own knowledge and experiences within data science. We're kind of just there as a resource for you to come to with any questions or concerns you have, whether that be about course planning, the major or the minor, domain emphases, anything you have. Usually in person, we'd be in Moffitt, but right now we are doing our peer advising virtually on Google Meet. So we're there Monday to Thursday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. PST. So definitely feel free to check our schedule, learn more about us on our website, and drop into our peer advising hours. Also, a quick shout out to our data peer consultants. Data peer consultants are essentially there to help you make data science more accessible across the broader campus community. So they're kind of there for any questions you might have with any technical data science related questions. They're also doing appointments virtually right now over Zoom Monday through Friday. So definitely check out their schedule and learn more about them if you're interested in any technical help.
Okay, so for our data science minor, there are 3 lower division prereqs that everyone has to complete. The first one is Foundation of Data Science, and that can only be fulfilled with Data 8. Next is Program Structures, and there's 3 courses for that. And then there's the Probability requirement, which has quite a few options you can choose from. And when we get into the upper division requirements for the minor, there are 2 pathways that you could choose. The one course pathway would have the gateway course as Data 100, and then you can choose 2 electives from a approved list. And then for the 2 course pathway, the gateway courses are Stat 131A and Stat 133, and you have to complete both of those for this pathway. And then you would only choose 1 elective from an approved list. And lastly, for both pathways, you have to complete 1 course from the list of human context and ethics classes. And if you have any more questions about how to declare or just the classes in general, we have an up-to-date page on our website for the data science minor that you can read more about on.
Cool. So the data science minor has some pretty specific overlap rules. Usually for most minors at Berkeley, you are allowed to overlap one course with your major. So for example, if you're a computer science major, you can count data science or data 100 towards both the major and the data science minor. But one special thing with the data science minor is that a maximum of one course offered by or cross-listed with the student's major departments may count toward the data science minor upper division requirement, including any overlapping course. So that means you can only have one course from your department. If you are like a computer science major or a stat major, you can only have one course from that department kind of like overlap with the actual minor. So that means you can't take another, if you're a CS major, you can't take another CS upper div if you're already taking data 100 for the minor. And this is something that's been tricky that I've run into in the past 2 semesters, whether it's people that are computer science majors, stat majors, or even like public health majors, where they're trying to take multiple courses within their department to fulfill requirements in the data science minor. So you have to be really careful about that going to the minor. They did that specifically just so it's not easy for people like CS majors and stat majors to easily minor in the data science minor. They want to make it so that your classes related to the actual course or related to the actual like data science material. And then also just an upper division course if you use to fulfill a lower division requirement. Like as you just saw on the last slide, it's possible to use stat 134 to fulfill the probability requirement. That will not be counted if it is for a lower division requirement. And then there's no restrictions to overlapping between multiple minors.
Cool. Yeah. So if you're still interested in data science, but don't really think that the minor will work for your schedule, there are a lot of good options online and on campus that you can really participate in. So I'm going to go into a couple of them. So a couple of those include Data Camp and Coursera, which are both online, really good uses to learn data science, and they're free resources that you can take advantage of. And there are other extensive resources on campus as well. There's an organization called D-Lab, which is on campus that does a lot of data science workshops like Intro to Pandas and a bunch of other different data analysis skills that you could use. So that's also an option as well. And then there are a plethora of organizations on campus where you can kind of grow your skills as well. One being Data Science Society. And there are a bunch of different options as well. If you're just curious about data science and want to learn some more skills. Kind of beyond this, there are some classes that you could take as well. If you don't want to complete the whole minor, but want to get a good introduction to some of these topics that might interest you, we've listed some courses below, some examples that if you're interested in SQL, you can take the courses listed there, Excel or Python, and then some other skills that are involved in like the data science career is using Tableau, Power BI, etc. And there's a lot of courses that kind of touch on these, but we'd recommend using the previous websites such as Data Camp to kind of learn these skills. So the prerequisites for declaring the major are pretty different from the minor. The first option is that, again, the foundation of data science requirement is the same, but this is only satisfied by data 8. There is an alternative pathway, but it's restricted to people who have taken these classes before 2018, just because the data science data 8 class was not created then. As for the linear algebra requirement, you can take Math 54, Stat 89A, which are both 4-unit classes, or you could do the alternative option. Say, for example, if you're doubling in computer science, you can do the 16 series in the electrical engineering department. And then there's some other options as well. Furthermore, you have to take the 2 calculus classes. These can be tested out of assuming you have the AP or IB credits, but there are multiple options here. For Calc 1, you can take 1A, 10A, or 16A, but for Calc 2, you have to take 1B. And then for program structures, you have 3 options there as well, either 61A, which is the most popular pathway, or CS88, and then there's an alternative, which is Engineering 7. And then lastly, the data structures, which is only one option, is CS61B.
So in order to declare the major, you need to get a 2.0 GPA in these three classes. You need to get 2.0 in data science, linear algebra, and data structures. Like maintain a 2.0 within those three classes.
So as for when you can declare, the data science major is open from the 4th week of each term through finals. And this is the same for the summer as well. If you go to our website, which is listed down below, there are the actual dates that are associated with each semester. And then additionally, you cannot submit the request to declare earlier than 3 weeks than your last prerequisite. And that's just to make sure that you're on track to complete that class with a good grade. In order to declare, you have kind of 3 things that you need to do. There's one that you fill out the data science, Bachelor of Arts worksheet, and that would just include all the classes you took to satisfy the prereqs. Then the next one is the LNS planning sheet or the LNS double major application, just to list out the classes and to show that you're on track to complete the major or the double major that you decide to pursue. And then lastly, you're going to upload these 2 forms as well as answer some other questions on the data science major application, which is just a Google form on our website. And within all this information, you'll be able to submit it and then get approved for the major.
Cool, so we're going to move on to the core upper division requirements for the data science major and just give an overview of each of the courses.
The first core upper division requirement is Data 100, and every student is required to take this class in order to complete the major. The professors that teach this class typically vary each semester, but historically the grade average has been in the B+ range. The prerequisites for Data 100 are Data 8, CS61A or CS88 or E7, and Math 54. Although Math 54 can be taken concurrently with Data 100, it is advised to complete it prior to taking Data 100.
So every semester we have like a wide range of classes that you can take for the computational and inferential depth requirement. So you need to take 2 classes that have 7 or more units combined. So you can take either like 2 4-unit classes, or you can take 1 3-unit and 1 4-unit, but you can't take 2 3-unit classes. So listed below are classes that, so if they don't say not in spring 21, that means they are available during spring 21 or 2021. And so for CS169, it's not available in spring 2021, but the lab is available, which is like a coinciding like 2-unit lab. So that is available, but CS169 itself is not available. And this is just a second slide of like different departments that you can use to fulfill, for statistics and industrial analytics. And these are some other ones, nuclear engineering and physics, but they're not available.
As part of the major, a student will also be required to take 1 course in probability. These courses typically deal with stochastic simulations and other aspects of data science theory and practice. For spring 2021, a student will be able to take between Stat 134, Stat 140, or EECS 126. Additionally, a student will also be required to take 1 course in modeling, learning, and decision making. For spring 2021, you have the option to choose between 5 classes: CS 182, CS 189, Stat 154, Data 102, and IUOR 142. All the details about the grade distribution and prerequisites are on these slides. And if you have any questions about the difference between these classes, please do not hesitate to contact us or ask on Piazza.
Okay, so the last upper division class that any data science student has to take, whether you're taking the major or the minor, is a human context and ethics class. Or essentially what the human context and ethics class is is it's a class to equip students with an understanding of the human and social structures, formations, and practices, along with the ethical concerns that go along with data science activity, data science practices, the entire data science life cycle. I personally loved my human context and ethics class, and it's truly an interesting class to kind of analyze data science and the activities that you do in your other technical classes from a more societal, ethical lens. As you can see, there's a lot of different options that you can take for the classes. All of them are super, super interesting, super fascinating topics. And definitely reach out to us if you have any more questions about any of the specifics within the classes, if you want some advice on which class to take. So feel free to reach out to us for any questions about that or check the Piazza. But yeah. Okay. And then along with the lower and upper division requirements for the data science major, all students have to have a domain emphasis. And so essentially a domain emphasis is like a subject area concentration where you apply the data science skills into the specific subject or area or emphasis, essentially. There's a large list of domain emphases that you can see on the slide, ranging from anything from the data arts and humanities all the way until robotics and mathematics, even social policy and law. So there's a wide range of emphases to kind of fit one that matches your interests and your passions and your experiences. For the domain emphasis, you will have to take one lower division prerequisite class. And then along with that, take 2 upper division classes within that emphasis. And you can find the specifics about what classes qualify for each emphasis on the data science website. If you want some help picking a domain emphasis or figuring out which classes to take, feel free to reach out to us for any questions about that. So now I'm going to turn it over to kind of talk about some sample plans for the major.
Hi, this is Jasmine T, and let's go over some of the sample 4-year plans. So this first plan is only for the data science major. For the first 4 semesters, you'll be taking the lower divisions required in order to declare the major. For the 5th semester and onwards, you'll be taking most of the upper divisions required. And please do know that we also factored in some of the LNS breadth requirements that you'll be taking as well. So hopefully that helps you plan out your schedule more. But if you do have further questions about the course load or any prerequisites for any courses, or just anything at all in general, feel free to drop by our period advising hours, and we'll be more than happy to talk with you one-on-one to come up with a better plan. So this next plan is relatively similar to the previous one, except that you might notice that there's a lighter workload where the courses are more spread out evenly among all 8 semesters. So if you're someone who's more comfortable with a lesser workload, this might be a good sample plan for you to consider. So this next sample plan is for the 2 or 2.5 year program. So this is mostly directed towards the junior transfers. Do note that you'll have only 4 to 5 semesters to complete all the major requirements. So if this looks like a really heavy course load and you'd like to work something out that would make it easier for you, please feel free to come drop by our peer advising hours, and we'll be happy to talk with you one-on-one more about this and look for other ways for you to, I guess, complete these requirements.
All right, so just looking at a sample 4-year plan for the data science and applied math double major, you can see that this is just a sample plan. Of course, if you like satisfied like some of the requirements like the RNC, you don't have to take those. But sample plan is just to knock out like your lower division CS and math classes within the first 2 years. And then the second 2 years, you would just do your different upper division requirements, and then as well as your CIDs and upper division electives.
Okay, so here we have a sample 4-year plan for a double major in data science and econ. And this plan does represent the econ domain emphasis, which is most common for people double majoring in econ and data science, but you can also choose any of the domain emphasis that we have offered. So in terms of like overlap for declaring both majors, both require Math 1A and 1B. So those will fulfill the lower division requirements for both. And then when it comes to the two overlap for upper division requirements, there are a few different ways that you can do it. One option would be to overlap both of your upper division courses for your domain emphasis with the econ electives. Another option would be Econ 140 is listed as an option to fulfill the CID requirement. So a lot of students will take that since it also counts for the econ major. If you choose to do that, then you can just pick one of your econ electives to overlap with your upper division domain emphasis courses. Another thing is that Econ 140 can count for the CID or the econ domain emphasis, and you cannot use it to count for both. You have to pick one. And then lastly, a 5 in AP Micro and a 5 in AP Macro does not equal Econ 1, so you do have to take that course.
Yeah, so a lot of students also like to major in data science and then minor in CS. Like Richard mentioned earlier, if you come in with the like the suitable AP or IP credits for like math or for RNC, you don't have to take those. But ideally, you would want to take Data 8 your first semester because a lot of students do like to overlap their one upper div between the data science major and CS minor as Data 100. And one of the prereqs of Data 100 is Data 8, so you should take it early on. Other than that, there's a lot of overlap in the lower division requirements between data science and CS, like Math 1A, Math 1B, CS 61A and CS 61B. There is like a small difference, which we'll see in the next slide. And for if you're following this 4-year plan, you want to start taking your CIDs probably by your junior year and your first upper domain emphasis classes by also by your junior year, probably the second semester. So a lot of students also like to swap the major and minor for DS and CS. So some students will do a computer science major and a data science minor. And again, there's a lot of overlap for the lower division requirements. Pretty much the only catch is that data science requires Math 54 or the EE16 series, but the CS major can't replace the 16 series unless you have like unless you're on the grandfathered policy, but I don't think it applies anymore because I think it was like you had to have been admitted before 2017. So you can grandfather with the 16, you can grandfather the 16 series with Math 54 if you were admitted before 2017. Other than that, there's, again, you can overlap your CS upper div with the data science minor with Data 100. It doesn't have to be, but that's just a common plan that students like to use.
Now we have a sample 4-year plan for a double major with data science and cog sci, which is another combination that we see a lot of students do. So this plan would be for the cognition domain emphasis. And in terms of declaring both majors, to declare cog sci, there are just 3 classes. So if you do Data 8, CS 61A, and Math 1A, those 3 classes all overlap with the classes needed to declare data science. So it does fit in really nicely in terms of being able to declare. With this plan, you would be able to declare in cog sci by the end of your 2nd semester and declare data science by the end of your 3rd semester. And then for the 2 overlaps for this plan, it would be CS 188, which would count for domain emphasis as well as a requirement for cog sci major, and then same thing for cog sci. C100. So most common overlaps we see will be 2 courses for your cognition domain emphasis. And then here we have slightly different, it would be the cog sci major with the data science minor. So one main difference is that when you do the data science minor, you can only have 1 overlap in upper division classes, where the double major you get 2. So here we have data 100 as the overlap for a cog sci elective. So this would be the 1 course pathway for the minor. And one other thing to mention about the cog sci major is that a lot of the courses you can take for the major will overlap with breaths. So we recommend that you plan that out according to the breaths that you need to complete. As you can see from this schedule, a lot of the classes are listed as both classes for the major as well as breaths.
Okay, this is a bit of a clarification slide because we used to offer data science classes under different departments like stat or comp sci, but as of fall 2020, the following courses will be offered under the data course designation. So these are data 8, data 100, data 102, and data 104. You can see what other classes we're offering for spring semester on the website data.berkeley.edu. And if you want to stay on top of the most up-to-date information about course offerings and general opportunities for the Department for Data Science, you can join the Data 001 Piazza page or email dsenrollments@berkeley.edu. So the swap function on Calcentral is really helpful if, like, say you want to join a class, but you don't want to lose your current spot in a class. Like, you only want to exchange the class if you are able to, say, like, get off a wait list. So you can switch them only between like primary sections. So for example, if you were signing up for data 8 and you chose a lab time that you didn't like and you wanted to change it, you can't use the swap function for that. It would have to be between like separate like lectures. And using swap, you can stay in a course you're enrolled in and swap it with another class you're waitlisted in. And you don't really have to think too much about it because later, if you get in the waitlisted course, you'll be automatically dropped from the one you're actually enrolled in.
Cool. So yeah, that's our presentation. One last thing to add just for the semester, and this was also pertinent to spring 2020, is that I mentioned this at the beginning, is that you are allowed to late drop courses without having penalty of using your 1 late drop that you're given when you enroll as a student at Cal. And you're also allowed to do a late grade change, and that date is December 4th. So if you, I don't know, you want to pass no pass courses, you can choose to do that by December 4th, or if you want to completely drop out of a class, you can also do that by December 4th with no late fee or late change of schedule penalty. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys for listening. We are the Data Science Peer Advisors, and hope you have a good day.